friends, Amanda here. Welcome back to Handmade, not Hallmark. And today's card features, you guys should know by now, my favorite go-to winter sky technique. I have done cards in this style in the past, but I'm switching it up and adding some dies this time. I hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. I'm going to start with my ink blending, and I've got a piece of a Bristol Smooth paper here, cut for a slimline card. And I'm going to use some distress inks. Now, if you've been following my page for a while, you guys know that this is one of my go-to and favorite techniques for creating a winter sky. I love using distress inks on Bristol paper. It glides across so beautifully, and I just had to add a card like this in my series. I do almost every year just because it is my favorite. I'm adding something a little different this year though. I'm going in with weathered wood near the bottom. I wanted to have kind of like a green tone at the bottom just to kind of accent the trees I'm going to add later. I'm going in with Salty Ocean above that, and I'm just blending up until I can transition to my next color, which is going to be Chipped Sapphire. I think these colors go beautifully together. They make such a wonderful color combination. You can do the same sort of ink blending with Distress Oxide inks or dye inks, anything that you have. I just have a love for the Distress Oxide inks on the Bristol. They look so nice and they blend smoothly. I rarely ever have any issues with the ink blending. It always comes out so nice. The only thing is you have to watch, because with Bristol paper, the ink just kind of glides over top of it. It doesn't absorb into it like regular cardstock. You have to let it dry on its own. So you have to watch that you don't get your fingerprints in it. I do hear a couple places, so just keep, be mindful of that whenever you're doing the ink blending. Just going to go through and fix a couple of spots here where I wasn't happy with the blending. And I think it looks so nice. I love the way that this looks. It is my favorite. Again, I have done this so many times in the past. I'm sure some of you are not surprised that I have a card like this in my series this year. But again, I wanted to switch it up and do some die cuts with this style of card. In the past, I've done stamped images. I've done lots of different things with this style. Or the same kind of layout, I guess, instead of style is the way I should put it. It's a layout. I've done this layout several times in the past. I'll link to some in the iCard above for you to enjoy. Next, I'm going to go in with some white gouache. Again, another go-to here. Now, with the white gouache, sometimes it does have a tendency to absorb the ink that's underneath it, so they don't turn out super white, but I'm okay with that because there's going to be a lot of other things going on in the card, so just be mindful of that as well. And it's just instant beautiful winter sky. Love it so much. I'm going to take that and I'm going to set it off to the side to dry while I work on the other elements of the card. Next, I've got some die cuts from Mama Elephant. These are the Silhouette Snow Trees, and I cut them out of some green cardstock, and I'm taking that same white gouache and I am painting on some snow. I have done several different ways to add snow to these die cuts. I have done I think I did embossing, and you can do all sorts of things. You can use Nuvo drops, anything that you like to add snow to these trees. I had the gouache out and I thought this would be a fun way to add some snow. I can get different variations in the intensity of the white or the opaqueness. So it did turn out to be a really fun way to add snow. I think it looks really natural this way. And you can just have a lot of fun with it. You don't have to worry about it looking perfect. Snow never lands on trees beautifully and perfect. It's nature. It's going to do its own thing. And I found that the more water I had, the easier it flew across the trees, and it was a little bit more intense. And I definitely went in with 2 layers just to help kind of add that depth and detail with the snow. I love the way that these turned out. They were so pretty. I didn't use all 4 of them. I saved the other one for another project. Now that my background was completely dry, I am going to stamp a big, beautiful greeting on the front of it. This is also from Mama Elephant. This is the Peaceful Wishes stamp set. I have used this so many times in the past. It is still one of my favorite stamp sets that I have. I love the big Peace on Earth. I love all of the accompanying greetings that go with it. They are so heartfelt, so warm, and they really kind of hit home, and I've used them so many times. So I'm going to do some embossing. I'm going to do some white heat embossing on this background. I think this is the perfect greeting. Again, it looks so nice against this dark cardstock or this dark ink blending in the background, and it just really pops. Again, another kind of go-to technique is using a nice bright white sentiment over top of this ink blending. It just really shines and has a really nice statement. Going to use some Brutus Monroe Alabaster white embossing powder. And I did test my cardstock before I did this to make sure that it was nice and dry. And if I had a couple of spots that, you know, stuck here and there, like little tiny flakes, I wasn't worried about it because you could definitely just use it as snow. Another benefit to doing a card design like this is that if you get some bits of embossing where you don't want it, it can act like snow. Gonna heat this up. Just love this beautiful scripty sentiment. So nice. Once that's done, I'm gonna add a accompanying greeting just because I love this set so much. I just have to add another one, and it also kind of helps fill in the empty space above where the trees are going to be. I'm gonna use the greeting, be filled with wonder, be touched by peace, and believe in the magic. I felt like that was a really nice greeting to go with this. It just kind of feels like, you know, when the snow falls, it is really magical, and you know, you just kind of, I love going out like the first real good snow, you know, like a real heavy snow, and it's real quiet out in the morning, and you see the snow hasn't been disturbed by any kids playing in it yet, and it's just so quiet and peaceful, and I love it. It's my favorite thing when it comes to the winter. So as you guys can guess, I am so done with summer. I am so ready for the cooler weather and getting into all things of the warm, festive season. Gonna hit that with my heat gun, get it nice and melted as well. And get my station all cleaned up so we can get the card assembled. I hope you're enjoying the series so far. We got a few weeks left in July, and then we're into August, which means we're into the fall cards and all those fun things, you know, those warm feelings, nice and cozy. I'm super excited. And I might take a couple of days break just to kind of refresh my brain a little bit before I move into some fall cards. I'm kind of moving back and forth a little bit, but I won't stop making cards. Just take a little break after this series and get ready for the next one. I'm adhering this down onto some craft cardstock. I felt like the craft looked really nice with the whole kind of vibe of the card, kind of rustic, woody, and craft cardstock is my favorite. I have to use it. It's so great. I'm just using my MISTI to kind of help me press this down nice and flat because it did warp a little bit whenever I was doing all that heat embossing, but it did lay down nice and flat. I didn't have any issues. I wanted this to be a somewhat one layer card. I do add the trees up a little bit, but it still would mail really nicely. I'm going to adhere the largest tree down nice and flat to the background, and then I'm going to pop up these other trees up just a little bit, again, just to give it some dimension and interest. You could definitely adhere them all nice and flat if you wanted to have a completely flat card, but again, I just wanted to add a little bit of little pop to it. I'm using some scrapbook adhesive 3M foam squares. These are the smaller ones, and I wanted to make sure I had enough behind everything that the branches didn't kind of like get smushed or torn or anything. So I kind of went a little overboard with the foam adhesive. You probably don't need this much, but I wanted to be sure that everything was going to sit really nice. Get that one lined up. And I wasn't worried about them kind of overhanging the blue into the craft. I really like the way that looks, makes it look a little bit more fun and organic. I did that in a card last year. It was, ironically, it was another Mama Elephant card, and I did something similar where I let the trees kind of overhang the main panel over to the card base. It made for a really neat look. Get those adhesive backers off there and line up that last little tree. Oh, and I think it looks so sweet. I'm going to go in with my Wink of Stella glitter brush pen and add some sparkle, just like the snow does whenever, you know, the sun hits it. It looks like diamonds. That's kind of what I was going for here. And I really think it looked nice. It does look like the trees are all sparkly with some fresh new fallen snow. I didn't feel like I had enough glitter, so I went in with my AQUA shimmer pen as well and added a little bit more. Lastly, I'm going to go in with some Nuvo crystal drops in Simply White. I had thought about adding some clay sequins, the snowflakes, but I thought, no, I'm just going to keep it a little bit more simple and just add some Nuvo drops. I really like the way that these look as well. They add for a nice little detail. And that will finish up this card for today. I really hope you enjoyed this fun slimline card featuring some of my absolute favorite techniques and my favorite design for Christmas cards. If you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting the like button as well as the subscribe so you don't miss out on any more videos here at my YouTube channel. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I can't wait to share with you some more cards coming up real soon, and I'll catch up with you again. Bye.
On screen, I've got a few videos that I think you'll enjoy. Consider hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more videos at my YouTube channel.